Hi there, Mahdi. Thank you very much for your A Muslim Keeping It Real video. I just want to ask you a few questions based on that. My name is Neil. I'm a Christian. I just want to ask you, my first question is, do people know whether racism is wrong or not? Because you got a slight contradiction in your video. Right at the beginning, you say, yes, people, they know it's not good, and yet they decide to be racist. And then about a minute later, you say, some people are racist, they don't even know about it, and they think what they're doing is right. So I wonder if you could just clear that up for me. People, do they know or don't they know if they're being racist or not? Second thing you said was, I want to pick up on, is that you said that people are being racist against Muslims. I just wonder how that's possible, because as far as I'm aware, Islam is not a race. It's a set of beliefs. Thirdly, I want to ask you, you say that somebody who's an Islamic extremist is going against Islam. Can you give me some surahs, some ayahs to show me how they're contradicting Islam? Also, you say you compare and contrast Islamic terrorism with World War I, World War II, and the Cold War, and you talk about the amount of death in both of those, in all of those conflicts. I think there is a fundamental difference, though, isn't there? In that those cases are all finished, first of all, whereas Islamic terrorism goes on every single day around the world. And secondly, there's a strong justifiable case that all those were wars of defense, whereas Islamic terrorism is always attacking innocent civilians. And that is the fundamental difference between war and terrorism, and I think you're confusing those two concepts. I want to just draw attention to a website. YouTube is called www.thereligionofpeace.com, thereligionofpeace.com, because on this website, it is absolutely shocking reading, and obviously if you think it's inaccurate, then please let me know, but it has the list of Islamic terror attacks for the past 4 months. And I'll just read you, today is the 20th of November. Even today, in Ramadi in Iraq, 2 have been killed, 6 injured by a suicide bomber. In Baghdad, a doctor and an actor were murdered by Islamic gunmen in separate attacks. Again, 3 were killed, 5 injured, as jihadis killed 3 people with a bomb in a market. This is not just Iraq, but also today in Thailand, in a place called Sungai Kolok. 2 were killed, 16 were injured by Islamic terrorists detonating a bomb in a market, killing 2 people. And it is just every day, day after day after day, Muslim suicide bombers are killing their brothers and sisters in the name of Islam. And this is not war, this is just senseless murder. That's all I can say. But it is ideological murder. And that's why I want you to defend, because people believe that this is Islam. There's my phone going, so I better sign off. Hi, sorry about that. Anyway, so I just really hope that you can have a look at that website, thereligionofpeace.com. And the question I want to ask you, Mahdi, is, and also Baba Ali, do you condemn every single suicide bomb attack in the world as evil and non-Islamic? Because if you do, then I commend you, and we're seeing eye to eye on that one. Now, another point that you make is that if Islam were violent, then most of the criminals around the world would be Muslims, and we'd be seeing Muslims everywhere. And I must say that that is true, that we don't usually see Muslims on these kind of crime watch type programs. But I think you're, again, confusing two different things. You confuse war and terrorism, but you also confuse crime and terrorism. And we're not talking about criminal violence. People are selfish, that's why they commit crime. We're talking about jihad, we're talking about violence in the name of God. I want to ask you a question. Which of these two things would you be more scared of? Would you be more scared of a mugger who will rob you for your wallet, or a jihadi who will explode your body in the name of Allah? So you can give the robber your money, maybe you could even reason with him to see a better way of life, but you can't reason with a man who thinks that your life is blocking his way to paradise. If he kills you, he gets a ticket to heaven. And finally, you say that gangs and drugs and prostitution and poverty you equate them with terrorism, and that's a very bizarre definition if you ask me. And for one thing, all of these things are present in every country of the world, Islamic countries, so-called Christian countries, and everything else. So I don't understand the relevance of trying to mesh these two things together, except that you're trying to avoid the issue. Gangs and drugs are not terrorism, they are gangs and drugs, that's what they are. Terrorism, I would define as the deliberate causing of terror to innocent civilians through violence or the threat of violence for ideological reasons. Now, a mugger is not mugging you ideologically, he just wants the money. Whereas an Islamic terrorist is blowing up the London Underground and 7/7 bombings because he believes that is right in the name of Islam, and that is terrifying. And you say we have no right, how dare we, and hypocritical and all this kind of thing, to criticize Islam until we clean up our streets and get rid of the drugs and prostitution. I'm sorry, but I'm going to carry on criticizing Islam because I believe that YouTube is a forum for free speech and debate. And we don't have to sort out every other issue before we come to looking at the questions that Islam poses. You have the free speech to criticize Christianity if you wish. But I think you're deliberately blurring together war and terrorism, crime and terrorism. You've never really addressed this question, so I really want to say, can I hear nice and loud, clear condemnation of all the suicide bombing around the world, and then we can do business together. Thank you very much. Cheers.